Hello, and welcome to episode 13 of the Manhattan Squash Show. My name is John Musto. I'm the pro at the Manhattan Community Squash Center, and we bring you the Manhattan Squash Show each weekday at noon. We have a really great show today, and I just want to jump right in. We're going to be hearing from my good friend Richard Millman, not really about his squash, although there's so many things we could talk about with his squash and his teaching. We're going to be talking about how he has been adapting the Imask. He's the sole distributor in the US for use in hospitals, for frontline workers and also secondary line workers, but also how his new Imask may play a key role in getting people back on the squash court safely when the time is right. Very excited for what he's doing, and I'm really glad to be able to talk to him. So let's now get to our, I think, important interview with Richard Millman, talking about very important things, talking about adapting something that's used for squash to be used in the front lines against this awful coronavirus. And it's kind of brilliant what Richard's done with it, but then there's a twist. Maybe this could be part of the solution for getting us back onto the squash courts in a safe way. So here is my chat with Richard Millman. Very, very happy that we're here with my very good friend Richard Millman, who's one of the leading masters players and teachers and thinkers about the game in the world. And but today we're going to be talking with him about a project he's been working on, which is having an impact for hospitals, but it may have a massive impact for our ability to bring squash back. So Richard, how are you doing? How is Pat doing?
Well, thanks for asking, John. We're doing pretty well, all things considered. As you know, as a squash professional, our entire income was just lost when the pandemic came along, till a few weeks ago when one of my clients said to me, well, Richard, why don't you adapt the eye mask so that it can be used as a barrier to protect people from infecting themselves with this virus? And of course, we were all touching our faces.
Let me just interrupt and say that you have been the distributor for Imask in the United States for quite a while, right?
20 years, actually, yeah. And I love it personally because I really had trouble with fogging and sweating and, the sunglass model. But anyway, so this client said, you should think about that. So my manufacturer and friend, Simon Stanbridge in Australia, and I got our thinking caps on, and we came up with a different design and attachment, if you like. And that was about 2.5 weeks ago. And the last 48 to 72 hours have just been utter craziness because we've been inundated with requests. But we're making it here in Georgia in the United States of America. And it's a permanent solution. It's not one of these sort of disposable masks, the same standard as we have for our protective eyewear. So it will protect people's eyes from ball strike. And as you know, many people have survived racket strikes as well because they've been wearing an eye mask. And if you like, I can just show you the difference between the two.
I would love to see it.
So I'm going to put on an original eye mask right now, and you can see, I'm just going to put it over the back of my head, it goes right over my glasses as well. And you can see the original eye mask comes down to about here, okay? And so I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to put on the eye mask plus face shield. This is the eye mask plus face shield, and you can see I can throw it about. I've got my eyeglasses on, but if I take those off underneath, and I will stand up and move, and you can see that I can move perfectly well, and it doesn't have any effect on my mobility. But it's from here all the way up to here, all the way around here, and you can't touch your face. But what I will say is I think this is an important addition for the reopening of squash. But I got to say, I've had some wonderful conversations with Kim Clearkin from US Squash. She's really on this. We've been talking about protocols. You know, not only we're going to have temperature taking, but we're not going to be able to have people play full squash. We'll have to play sides. We'll have to play front and back. There can be no possibility of bumping into each other. And I think one of the things that's hard for people to get their heads around, I don't know if you agree, if somebody's either vaccinated or immune, they think they're okay. But the virus doesn't know that they're immune. The virus will happily live on their skin or in their noses. And if they breathe out, they may not be ill themselves. But anybody that's susceptible, even vaccinated and immune people, are going to infect. And, you know, inadvertently, we could end up killing people. And squash doesn't want to do that. Squash is a healthy sport.
As a fellow squash pro who gets on the court with all sorts of people, I think we want to be as safe as possible. Scientists are learning a lot, and I think that, you know, we need to take the safest road possible and not make assumptions. Squash is particularly dangerous for this kind of pandemic, you know, in the environment we're in. And if we're going to get back to playing squash, we need protocols, and I think your Imask is going to be central to it.
Well, thank you, John. I really hope that we can help. For our point of view is to see if we can do things first for the frontline workers. And as we were saying earlier, you know, although PPE has been in great demand for the hospitals, all kinds of people need PPE. This thing, I think, will really provide a barrier which might help. I'm not saying we're going to save a lot of lives, but it's going to contribute towards that, I think.
Well, Richard, I personally really appreciate what you and Pat are doing. You know, I know all of us squash pros are going through everybody's going through a tough time, but our business, our place of business has been ripped away, and having a process for being able to get back to squash in a safe way couldn't be more important for those of us in the squash world who want to get back. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and sharing. If somebody wanted to get an Imask, how would they do that?
Just go to www.imaskusa.com.
Great, and they can get the new Imask that way?
Yep, that's actually the only thing that we're focused on at the moment. So if they go to that webpage, that's the only thing you can see on there. And John, I really sincerely hope as soon as it's possible that I will be able to get on court with you and play a game of sides. The intensity of sides can really be fantastic. And we can play great squash, and we could even have tournaments of sides where we have self-scheduling events, and we could have some really competitive squash within the constraints of this very terrible situation that we find ourselves in.
Well, Richard, we're going to do that. The first thing is, when this gets better, I'm going to invite you up to New York to play at our Manhattan Community Squash Center, and we're going to video it for everybody, and we're going to do a demonstration of playing on the court with the protocols, with the sides, and show people what a great thing it can be. So you will be our first guest.
John, I so look forward to that, and thank you so much for what you're doing, and I'm so excited about your new Manhattan Community Squash.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard, for speaking with me today, but also for what you're doing. I think what you're doing is very important for the world and for the world of squash. So thank you. Well, that brings to a close episode 13. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll join us tomorrow at 12 noon for episode 14 of the Manhattan Squash Show. See you then. Bye-bye.